Okay, this is on. Welcome for anybody who wasn't here earlier. All right, now I'm going to switch topics and talk about VA and Medicaid benefits. So again, I'm going to introduce myself really quick for anyone who wasn't in the room. I'm not sure we have too many new people, but I'm Mary Bursky. I am an attorney in Charlotte County. I'm an board-certified elder law attorney. I have been in Charlotte County about 23 years. I specialize in estate planning, probates, trust administration, and pretty much Medicaid, and I do a little bit of VA planning for people, but I'll explain as I tell you to go to other people for the VA. I'll explain why. Anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about VA benefits and then also talk about Medicaid. I'm going to spend most of my time on Medicaid, and the timer lady who's not here is going to let me know when I've killed 10 minutes, but I'm going to try to, and I apologize if I talk fast. Dear God, we ran out of time so fast on the last one. 25 minutes just blows by. But thank you all for choosing my session. I'm going to have to hold this close. I'm going to get yelled at. Okay, so VA benefits are available to VA aid in attendance is a benefit that is available to veterans who fought during a wartime. I just realized something, Lucy. Where is that handout? I didn't bring it from the table. Okay, you guys. And I think we have, okay, well, Lucy's going to run and there's a handout that shows you the war times, but I'm going to tell you all really quick that there is a great session if you're really interested in knowing if somebody qualifies. Go see Ivy Winkler. There's her phone number. You can write it down. Ivy works for the VS, it's called the Veterans Service Office in Charlotte County. It is off of Loveland Boulevard in the Health Department building. It's adjacent to the Health Department behind the Peachland Publix. So if anybody wants to know more about aid in attendance, you want to go see Ivy, because what happens is, I'll just tell you really quick, you have to have I knew I was going to say that. You have to have been enlisted during a wartime, and they have specific dates of when you would qualify. So I actually had a veteran who literally enlisted the day after World War II officially ended. He cannot get this benefit. So we are seeing more and more people that fall in what I call the gaps that are not eligible for this benefit. But it's not on the slide, but I will tell you right now, it's basically a medical reimbursement program. So if you're in your home and you have medical expenses that you need covered, if you're bringing in a caregiver, if you need somebody to fill your meds, if you have somebody that's driving you to doctor's appointments, including a child, they can get reimbursed for the help that they're giving you as you age. And a veteran can get a $22.95 is the maximum a veteran can get right now, and their spouse can get $12.44. So even a spouse of a veteran can get this benefit, and it does help if you need help at home or in an assisted living. VA aid in attendance really does not help you if you're going into a nursing home, because they make us reduce the benefit down to $90. So if you have the benefit already, that's fine. You get to keep an extra $90. If you don't have the benefit, it's a lot of paperwork to get $90. So we usually don't bother if you haven't gotten it already. There is a 3-year look back for moving assets. The person applying and their spouse have to have less than $130,000 in assets and a car and a home. I'm going to talk about Medicaid. I want you to keep the two clear. VA counts everything as an asset. Everything. An IRA is an asset. Everything you own is counted in that $130,000. So again, that's something you would want to talk to Ivy about. The reason why most lawyers don't do this anymore is because of the 3-year look back. I used to do a lot of VA benefit planning and applications, but I can only help people move money around. No one can charge anyone for a veteran's application. So if anyone ever tells you there's a cost involved, go see Ivy, it's free. So do not let them charge you. So most of my clients, I'll tell you about the benefit. I'll say you probably are going to be eligible, go see. And I say Ivy, there's other people in her office, just giving her a plug. Okay, next slide. Veteran skilled nursing. Are there any veterans in the room? Okay. So I'm going to say this really quick because I want her to tell me when I want to spend most of our time on Medicaid. But there is a veteran skilled nursing home, the Douglas T. Jacobson Center. It's off of Harbor and Veterans Boulevard. It's kind of off of a side road. It is only for veterans. A spouse cannot go there. So a veteran can go to this facility. There is no spend down of assets. The only requirement is you must give them your income. So if I have a spouse that has a veteran who has $3,000 a month in income, that income will go there. But if he has $1 million in the bank, we don't have to spend his $1 million. And you all look at me like, really? True. And we are there's 6 VA nursing homes in the whole state of Florida. We are the only one from Miami to Land O'Lakes. So, and Land O'Lakes is north of Tampa. So this VA nursing home has had a lot of people on a wait list for a long time. I have been successful in getting people in there recently, and COVID, I hate to tell you this, took several of our veterans, but all of our facilities are safe now. But again, there are spaces. The other thing too is, I hate to say this, a lot of our veterans are passing away. So there are openings, because people have heard that there's a 2-year wait list or a year wait list. I'm not seeing that, but please don't quote me, because you could call next week and they don't have a bed. But you can get on a wait list. If somebody has a rated disability, so if you have a 70% rated disability, you're gonna go to the top of the wait list if there is a wait list. So if you have a rated disability, you bump up on the list. If you're 70 to 100% rated disability, you don't pay anything. You pay 0 if you go here. So again, it's a nice facility. The bottom line is, and I work with a lot of the skilled nursing homes. Skilled nursing homes are difficult, everyone. Somebody has to watch what's going on, but the reality is it's a nice facility. Ambiance is pretty nice, but there are always issues with skilled nursing facilities. You just have to be on top of it. So I've had people say, I'm not taking my husband there. This is not the VA the health system. And I can't speak to that. I have an uncle who was a Vietnam vet who's in the health system, and he complains all the time about it. The VA health system is different from the VA aid and attendance, which is a benefits section, and then there's the nursing home section. They're all different sections. And years ago, they didn't really communicate very well. They're doing better at that now. But again, if you talk to Ivy, and I love Ivy, she's probably not going to be able to tell you much about the Douglas T. Jacobson Center. You have to go there and talk to them about what's available. And I did put their phone number on here for you guys, okay? All right, that's all I'm going to talk about veterans benefits. I'm going to jump to Medicaid, because that's what a lot of people pay me money to talk about. So Medicaid benefits. There are basically 3 different levels of Medicaid for care levels. There's in-home, there's assisted living, and there is nursing home, which is what I'm going to primarily focus on, because that's the one where you're going to be paying a lot of money and people get really nervous. There is an income test and an asset test for all 3. They are identical tests. So I'm going to talk about all 3 for the first 2 fairly quickly, but just know the income and asset test, and there is an income test and an asset test. You must meet both tests to get Medicaid. There are exceptions to the asset level, and I'm going to review that, and then I'm going to go over some tips. So the levels of care for Medicaid. PACE program. Lisa is in the house. Lisa, I didn't put your number on there, darn it all. All right, well, Lisa Kopp is here, so Lisa is going to do a session on PACE. The bottom line is PACE is a program that you have to qualify for Medicaid, but it provides services. Lisa is here, but Lisa's not going to hand you a check. Lisa's not going to give you $7,000 a month to hire a caregiver. She's going to help you with some of that, though. So she provides services. There is a facility in town that will, you can have respite care, all sorts of stuff. I have a client recently that her husband was on the PACE program, and Lisa, jump in if I'm correct, but this is what she told me, is that they couldn't do a handicap ramp. He was in a wheelchair, and so the PACE program helped him to get a lift in the garage that would take him in and out of the house, because they had like a certain level where he had to have a lift so she could get the wheelchair out of the house. And so PACE paid for that, which I didn't even know PACE paid for those kind of things. So they'll help you with those kind of stuff. You do, again, have to meet the Medicaid criteria. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Assisted living Medicaid. There is a lady on the agenda today talking about Medicaid managed care. It used to be called the Long-Term Care Diversion Program. So again, I forgot her name. I'm sorry. I hope she's not in the room. Anyway, Medicaid Managed Care is really the program that you have to call the agency. It's called the Area Agency. Okay, I'm saying this wrong. On Aging, thank you. I was going to say AAA, but it is called AAA. But it's Southwest Florida. It's Area Agency on Aging. It's in Fort Myers. If you want that information, my staff may have it. Otherwise, you can call my office, or you can go to the session this afternoon to get the information. I think there's even a booth. I think they have a booth out here. Yeah, Lucy said they do. Okay. Okay, so the reality is the assisted living Medicaid is harder to get, and it's capped at how much you can get. You can only get about $1,300 a month. And I'm going to be honest with you, you're all in my session. The experts were debating earlier how much you get. We don't even know the answer because they changed the amount, and I couldn't find it on the internet. So I'm just going to tell you approximately $1,300. It might be a little bit less or a little bit more than that. And I say the experts, it was the people at the booth. We didn't know the answer. Anyway, if you only have $1,200 in income and you can get $1,300 here, you're going to be limited to going to an assisted living that only takes $2,500. And that's going to be hard to find. So I'm going to be honest with you, assisted living is very tough right now. So that's where, again, assisted living sometimes level is hard to get people benefits, especially I have little old ladies who, don't have a lot of income. They're living off Social Security. It's a very tough level, and sometimes we have to skip the assisted living level and go to the nursing home level because of that. So what happens with skilled nursing level, so what happens back, assisted living, you don't have to have a lawyer to apply for assisted living Medicaid to get that $1,300, but you do have to meet the criteria I'm going to talk about. But you call the Area Agency on Aging, and there's a number you call, and you get on their wait list, and you pretty much have to make it look like you're out of money and mom and dad can't survive in their house anymore and they need to be moved to assisted living. So you have to do an application and an interview with the people at AAA, okay? Not the car people. So skilled nursing, I want to focus on that. Skilled nursing facilities, the rule is that they're going to take your income. So people come in and say, well, I want to keep my income. No, if you go to a nursing home, the rule is they're going to take your income minus $130, and they're going to let you keep some money for supplemental insurance. Same with the spouse. That's the rule. But they're going to pay the difference. So if you go to Life Care Center, which I think it's a good nursing home, it's about $12,000 a month. Oh, other ones are $9,000 to $10,000 right now, guys, and they're going up, I think, because of COVID. They're actually having to limit some of the people they bring in, and I've heard this from a few of them right now. Just give you the scoop. Because they can't find staff, and they have to have a certain ratio, and they're having a lot of issues. So if they can only fill half their rooms or 75% of their rooms, they're going to raise the rates to cover that shortage. So what's happening is the rates are going up. It's not going to get cheaper. So what happens with Medicaid, though, and that's not your problem, Medicaid's going to say your income minus $130 minus any supplemental insurance is going to go to the nursing home, and they're going to cover the rest. And whatever that rest is not your problem because they have a certain rate that they pay. But anyway, all right, so Medicaid, income. There's an income test. If you have more, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on income because it's technical, but the bottom line is if you have more than $2,382, this is the person who's applying. So if you're a spouse, if your husband's going in the nursing home, we're looking at his income. His income has to be less than $2,382. If it is over that, we have to do something called an income trust. It's technical to explain this, but just kind of, I jokingly say to people, take your brain off and just go with me on this. It's the rule. You have to put any money over the $2,382 into the income trust, and what we do is we create a trust, we open a bank account, and we move the money into that bank account. But everything, so I'm going to give you an example. I have $4,382 in income. I'm $2,000 over. Every month for the rest of my life, $2,000, one day a month, my income comes in, my siblings or my daughter has to move $2,000 into an income trust account, but it is still going to go to the nursing home. So don't think you get to keep the money in that income trust. The trust has to say that if you owe it to the nursing home, it has to go to the nursing home. It's a glitch in the law. But one day a month, we must reduce your income and put it into an irrevocable trust, and therefore the law says you qualify for Medicaid. So income is usually never an issue. The only time income is an issue is if you come to see me, and I have had this happen, and you're making $14,000 a month, and your nursing home is $12,000, you don't need Medicaid, people. So just FYI. That's the only time I've ever had somebody not qualify under an income clause. Okay, so assets. Let me get through this before you faint, because the first thing I tell people is you can only have $2,000. And they're like, what? $2,000, a spouse. Oh, by the way, I got to tell you something really quick, backing up, because I actually wrote notes, and I can't read my own notes without my glasses. So on the income, a spouse can have unlimited income. And this gets really technical, you guys. The bottom line is a spouse can have $6,000 a month, and the person in the nursing home is not going to get any of it. But if the reverse is true, if the person in the nursing home has $6,000 a month, and the spouse in the community has less than about $2,100, and it's on the quick reference sheet, there's a thing called minimum monthly income for a spouse, maintenance, I can't say it. Anyway, there's something, it's about $2,100. They're gonna divert some of the $6,000 for the person in the nursing home. They're gonna divert part of that income over to the spouse, okay? So the bottom line is we're going to be able to move money to the spouse. What they call it is the spouse in the community is going to get some of the income from the person that's in the nursing home so they have enough to live on, hopefully. But I've had people come to me and say, I need all $6,000. Well, I can't help you on that one. Anyway, so assets. The spouse in the community can have $130,380 in assets. There are several exceptions. And what I mean by that is assets that are not counted as part of this $130,000. So you can have the person in the nursing home can have $2,000, the spouse can have $130,000, and you can have anything on the next two lists I'm going to show you. You can have a house up to $603,000 in equity. If you have more equity than that, then we have to take out some of the equity. You can have additional property if rented. So if you have an investment account that has $500,000 in it, we're going to have to spend down that $500,000, and yes, there's going to be capital gains. There's always a problem with everything we do usually, but we're going to have to spend down. We can put $500,000 into rental property, and you're going to say, I don't want to be a landlord. There are companies that run all of this for people on Medicaid. One of the companies I do a lot of business with, if we give them $500,000, they can put us into rental property within 2 weeks, and they will take 8%. Now, again, I don't get a kickback. The bottom line is they'll take 8%, but when you die, they guarantee your heirs 92% back. So there are companies, other companies that do this too. So if you have large amounts of investments, it's one of the few ways that we could move those investments around to preserve them for your kids is with rental property. And so, it's an option. Again, these are options. You can have money into a business real estate. I have clients that have business properties. Not a lot of people have that. You can have one vehicle regardless of age. I'm running out of time, but I'll just tell you I had a client who was applying for Medicaid for his dad. He bought a $150,000 Porsche. He put his dad on the car. He was already buying it. So I don't want to think too lowly of him. But anyway, he could be here today. But the bottom line is that was the most expensive car I've ever seen purchased. And the Department of Children and Families, who does the applications, could do nothing about it. And not that that was his choice to use his dad's money, but dad has to be on the title to the car. That was one of the most expensive ones I've ever seen purchased. Retirement accounts are completely exempt. I have a client that was getting $6,000 a month out of a $2 million IRA, and he got Medicaid. So he got the other $5,000 in nursing home bill covered, and when he died, his wife got the whole $2 million IRA. So I just want you to know, IRAs are not counted as assets, so if you have a house, an IRA, and a car, you're going to qualify for Medicaid. Life insurance with no cash value. So by the way, it's really important. We struggle with this one. Your kids need to know what your cash value and your death benefit is. They seem to really struggle finding that information. So if you guys are in this room, get that information and keep it in a record somewhere, because it's hard to figure that all out when you're incapacitated. Irrevocable burial contract just means that if we give them $10,000 to bury you, we can't get it back. So we can't apply for Medicaid and then ask them for their $10,000 back. Two other things, and one of them is not on here. Personal care contract. I can move money to your children. There is a 5-year look back to move. By the way, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I apologize. I can move money between spouses. And I'm going to talk about something in a second, but there's no look back between spouses. So just keep that in your head. No look back between spouses. I can move all money to one spouse, and there's no look back. Personal care contract says I can move a certain amount of money with no 5-year look back to one of your children or someone caring for you with no look back, and it's an exchange of services. It's a contract that says I agree to take care of you the rest of your life. So the question is, how long is your life? It has to be based on your life expectancy. If you are 80 years old, I can probably move $400,000 to your children. If you are 95, I can maybe move less than $100,000. Okay, so there's a whole calculation, how many, if somebody's living in Florida and putting in, again, we can try to budget and put a little more hours in. If somebody's living in Alaska, they're probably not going to be here very often, but I can move money to a child in Alaska if I want to. So we can move money under a care contract, okay? So that's one of the ways we move chunks of money when people are in nursing homes. The last one is not on here. In the state of Florida, you are not obligated to take care of your spouse. I didn't put it on here because the state of Florida doesn't like me to put it on here. I don't know who's in the room right now, everybody. It's legal. We do it. I try not to do it, but the bottom line is, I'll give you a great example. I had a client who had a company, and he said, nothing is in my wife's name. The company is not even in our names. We applied for Medicaid, and all of a sudden Medicaid called and said, there's a $500,000 account with the wife and husband's name. And I'm like, oh, shoot, we didn't know about that. Well, the company wasn't in the wife's name, but for some reason she was an officer, and the bank account had her name on it, so they found it. So we had to move her name, first of all, we had to get a corporate attorney to take her name off all the corporation documents and take her name off the bank account. We reapplied, but we made sure it was all in the husband's name, and he signed a form saying, I am not going to support my wife. I know it sounds really horrid to do that, but you sign a form, and he got to keep the whole $500,000. So just now, if we can move, now there are assets I cannot move to a spouse. I can't move an IRA. If you have a pension and Social Security, I can't move those to someone, a spouse. If you have an annuity, sometimes we can move it to your spouse. If you have joint assets, we just take your name off of it. And we sign a form saying we're not supporting you anymore. And I know that sounds horrible, but we can get you Medicaid and cover that $12,000 Medicaid bill, other than your income. So again, those are the tricks. I'm just telling you the big tricks, tips, and costs really quick. We're going to have to wrap up. I already talked about for the other session, if you weren't here, power of attorney, you must have a power of attorney after October 2011. If you have a power of attorney that only has 4 or 5 pages, the one we have is 18 pages. I've seen them as high as 30 pages. They must be very specific and have clauses that allow us to do an income trust, a care contract, and to apply for Medicaid. So you need to make sure spouses can do some of those documents, but children cannot, and your next level of beneficiaries cannot. Seek legal advice. I have clients that just called me this week. They spent down everything, and then they called me. Nothing I can do to help them at this point. They qualify for Medicaid, but they have no money left to even pay me, basically. And mom's going to get booted out, according to them, out of the assisted living unless we can get her Medicaid. And it's going to take months to get assisted living Medicaid. So if they move her to a nursing home, I can get them Medicaid quickly. Assisted living, they have to get on a wait list. But they waited until she had like $5,000 left in the bank. That's not a good plan, guys. If somebody goes in a nursing home, call me as soon as possible. Spouses need to update estate planning quickly. What I just told you about, move everything to the spouse. If I do that, spouse in the community dies, everything's coming back to the person in the nursing home. Let's not do that, folks. If we move everything to the spouse, you need to update your estate planning documents to do what's called a special needs trust for the person in the nursing home, and it's perfectly legal to do that. So if the spouse in the community dies, the money stays for the spouse in the nursing home, but it's an irrevocable trust that's not counted as the person in the nursing home's asset. So again, lots of things we can do as lawyers to make this whatever. Cost to apply, you are looking at probably for a basic Medicaid application, probably $3,500 up to $10,000 sometimes, depending on how complex all of this is. It really depends. I work with my clients. I do lots of discounts for veterans when I'm working with them. If I have a little old lady that has nothing in the bank and there's hardly anything left, we're going to work with them. But if I'm moving $500,000 around to help, don't take this wrong with your snotty-nosed children, then I'm going to probably charge them a little more. The reality is it's all, what I do. I do a lot of pro bono work, so the reality is it's a trade-off. I'm going to open it to questions. I don't think we have a lot of time, but questions. Mm-hmm. She's asking about annuities. If an annuity is giving off a monthly income that's based on your life expectancy, then it can be counted, and you have to get documentation from the company. It's going to be counted as income, not the principal won't be counted. The exception is it has to have been created within 5 years of you needing Medicaid. If you put money into an annuity within so if you run to the bank and put money in an annuity because you know you're putting your husband in a nursing home, they're gonna let you as a spouse be the beneficiary, but the state of Florida has to be the backup beneficiary. So you can't do annuities within 5 years of going in a nursing home. But if you have an older annuity, you just have to start taking income off of it. Okay? Questions? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. That's a really difficult question. I'm going to have to talk to you later about Lisa. Yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, I was just everybody that's leaving, I'm going to go to the chairs out there for a half an hour, and then I'll be at my table for an hour to answer questions if you guys have any more questions. Thank you guys for putting up with my fast talking.